Hello, and welcome to this spooky, scary episode of Magic Lore in Minutes. Why is it a spooky, scary episode, you might ask? Well, because we're covering the plane of Innistrad, of course. Innistrad is the Gothic horror-themed plane, and it's gonna spook you good. So let's jump right in. The plane of Innistrad, as I mentioned briefly in the introduction to Magic Lore video, is populated mostly by humans. Besides for humans, there are vampires, spirits, werewolves, zombies, devils, demons, and a host of other monsters. The dead never stay dead, one way or another. Corpses are given new life by powerful necromancers, turning them into zombies called ghouls, and even partial corpses are stitched together into monstrous zombies called scabs. A peaceful burial in the safety of a guarded city where necromancers can't reach them is the ultimate goal for the denizens of Innistrad. They can't even burn the corpses to keep them from necromancers, as it's all too likely the spirits of those corpses will come back as angry geists. The humans of Innistrad, obviously, live in constant fear of the supernatural, which for them is all too natural. The humans are guarded by angels, who strive to keep a balance between the light and the dark, so to speak, but that balance was ever fragile. Sorin Markov, the vampire planeswalker, was born on Innistrad, and his grandfather, Edgar Markov, was one of the original vampires and progenitor of the Markov vampire lineage. Sorin, despite being a vampire himself, was wise enough to see the consequences of the dark forces becoming too strong. If they were to wipe out the humans, his fellow bloodthirsty vampires would turn on each other for sustenance, eventually wiping out their own race. So, in the days before the Mending, Sorin used his planeswalker powers to create an ultra-powerful angel whom he named Avacyn. With Avacyn guarding over the plane and keeping a balance, with the help of the Archangels Sigarda, Bruna, and Gisela, Sorin was free to leave Innistrad and deal with other issues, like the Eldrazi. A church was created around Avacyn, and they started to train Cathars, warriors that would use holy magic to protect their fellow humans from the monsters of the night. Avacyn was very successful at purging Innistrad's threats, especially its demons, but she soon noted that for every demon she destroyed, another took its place. Since demons and angels are not mortal beings and are instead composed of pure mana, only their physical beings were being destroyed. Their essence lived on and eventually would be reconstituted. So Avacyn took an oath: whatever cannot be destroyed must be bound. You see, the moon of Innistrad is made of silver, and its magic gives silver metal on Innistrad magic properties. Even the Cathars use silver weapons to combat monsters. With a chunk of moon silver Sorin had shaped and had dubbed the Hell Vault, Avacyn saw the perfect solution. Avacyn went and defeated demons and monsters one by one and sealed them within the moon silver prison, that is, the Hell Vault. She was so successful at this that eventually only the oldest and most powerful demons on Innistrad remained free of the Hell Vault. So the great demon Griselbrand decided to challenge Avacyn to combat. She accepted, naturally. The battle raged on for days, spectated only by the highest Avacynian church officials like the Lunarch Macias, but Avacyn could not defeat Griselbrand in direct combat. Avacyn decided to use all her remaining power to cast a spell that would seal Griselbrand in the Hell Vault, but just before the spell was complete, Griselbrand thrust his spear-like arms into Avacyn, causing the spell to backfire, sealing both the angel and the demon away within the Hell Vault. Macias told the other church officials to not let it slip that Avacyn was gone, as not to cause a panic, but even so, the human forces began to falter without Avacyn's guiding light. Wards and protective spells failed, and other angels lost much of their power. The werewolves and vampires began actively preying on humans, and the balance of Innistrad was disrupted. When Sorin eventually returned to Innistrad to find this chaos, he was distraught. He couldn't just create a new Avacyn. Even creating the original Avacyn took a great deal of his energy, and that was before the Mending, when he was still akin to a god. So he set out in search for what happened to his beloved daughter. It is now that I have to bring into play Liliana Vess, whom I mentioned only briefly in the past. Liliana became a planeswalker before the Mending, but not very long before. Once the Mending occurred and Liliana began to age after she lost her immortality, she wanted nothing more than to regain her youth. So she made a deal with Nicol Bolas. He would arrange for her contracts with 4 elder demons, and she would regain her eternal youth. The demons, however, would have free reign over her soul. She agreed to these terms and visited each demon one by one. They carved cryptic markings into her skin, but she did indeed regain her youth. Now it was Liliana's goal to escape from her contract and have her soul be free once more, while still being forever young. Lucky for her, she found an ancient artifact called the Chain Veil. The Chain Veil is filled with the spirits of an ancient ogre race called the Onaki, and it amplified her powers tremendously, granted at the cost of being incredibly dangerous to wield. With the Chainveil's power, she decided to kill her demons one by one and reclaim her soul. She had already dispatched the first demon, Kothafed, and Griselbrand was next on the list. But unbeknownst to her, he was trapped in the Hell Vault. So when Liliana couldn't find Griselbrand anywhere, she led a siege on the city of Thraben, with her own zombie army being supplemented by the zombies of Gulcaller Jissa and Stitcher Geralf, a sibling pair who were always striving to create bigger and better zombies than each other. Geralf killed Lunarch Mikaeus during the siege, and Liliana interrogated Mikaeus' corpse to find Griselbrand's location. Unfortunately for Liliana, however, her dark magic was incapable of destroying the Hell Vault. So she instead raised a small army of ghouls and captured the army of a powerful Cathar named Thalia. She issued Thalia an ultimatum: destroy the Hell Vault or see her men perish. Thalia chose the former, destroying the Hell Vault and freeing all the demons trapped inside, but alongside them, Avacyn. Liliana quickly disposed of Griselbrand with the power of the Chainveil and thus started planning to kill her third demon. And with Avacyn free, the humans were safe once more. For now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. And remember, as always, stay tuned for next time. See you then.